We haven't done a tech tip Tuesday for a while, so I figured I'd do it. I'm going to change the oil on my X3 and show you a couple little tricks that I figured out. So here we go. What I have is to get a flexible funnel. You can make one, or you can go to Rocky Mountain ATV and you can get a drifter's funnel. It's basically just a flexible funnel that you can stick in there. But that definitely helps a lot. Here's one of my first tips, is you want to take and cut the hole for your drain plug just a little bit bigger so that you can get like a funnel that will stick in there. So cut a hole in the bottom of your skid plate so you can get a flexible funnel in there, and that'll help catch the oil and you won't get so much everywhere, because it's gonna go everywhere. It gets stuck in here. The other tip I do is I take a bunch of towels, shop rags or whatever, and just cram them into your frames to catch a bunch of that oil. So that makes it a little bit easier. Things you can do is, I got also from the same place, Rocky Mountain ATV, is I got a funnel with a long tube on it. So instead of trying to fill in there, which is almost impossible, you can just drop it through that hole. You can just drop it through one of the holes, and then you can fill it from up here and just run that into your fill hole. So much easier that way. One of the things you're going to need is, you're going to need some shop towels. You're going to need a T30 Torx bit, because Can-Am loves these. And you're going to need a 17mm wrench on an extension. I showed you the drifter's flexible filter or funnel, makes it much easier, and my longer one. And don't forget, you're going to need your favorite girly beer, because again, it's a Can-Am. So let's get started. So I don't know if you can see it, but there are two plugs you have to pull. There's a little one that's the T30 Torx, and then there's the 15mm. So I don't know why there's two, but there is. And I've heard you're supposed to take the T30 off first. So here we go. So it's better if you kind of have your funnel already in there and ready. And even harder when you're trying to film it. So just gonna pull this little plug out, try not to drop it into my funnel. Let's see what I'm doing. I'm trying to work my hand in there. Normally I would do this from the bottom, but there you have it. And I'm totally missing my funnel. Definitely a little more difficult trying to do this filming, so I would do everything from the bottom normally. Okay, so the little one drained about a quart or so out of it before it stopped. So now we're gonna get the big one out of there. Let's see how much we get out of that one. Again, you can see this better from the top, but it's just hard for me to do it, film and do it at the same time. So that's out of there. Get my funnel back in there somewhere. And that's why it's a mess right there. There's no real good way to do this. Especially if you didn't have a flexible funnel. So definitely have your cardboard ready. And your rags. So, but not that much drains out after you pull the first one, so I definitely think that helps. Help you control the flow a little bit. Okay, so now just get your funnel out of the way because it's not doing you any good, and kind of get as much of the oil that traveled all over out of there as quick as you can. Try to keep it from getting to your roll bars or frames. Because once it gets in there, it's going to be pouring out for days, or until you wash it all out anyway. Okay, so now you want to move on to the top, and you have to get your oil filter out of there. So leave your drain plugs open, don't put them back on because they're going to drain out a little bit more. I don't have a socket that will fit in here. So in your toolkit you have this little Torx bit wrench. Oh. And I'm going to use that instead. And then what I do is, before you get that cover off, have like a pick handy so you can pull it, because there's like a suction on it, and once you pull it off, the rest of the oil that's in there is going to drain out. Definitely not the easiest thing to do here either. I think I had a smaller wrench last time I did this, but I don't remember. So. So have your pick ready when you pull this off, because you're going to see it's going to start leaking. But as soon as you, well, that wasn't too bad, but as soon as you pull this out, the rest of that oil that's in there is going to drain out. Okay, so if you ordered the kit, you're going to get a new oil filter, and it's going to come with a new washer, rubber washer, whatever you want to call it, seal, and then 2 crush washers. So you want to take your new seal, put a little bit of oil on there. You can use old oil, but you could probably use the new one. It doesn't really matter, I don't think. It's just so it seals better. And then just clean everything up, get all the dirt out of there. So just put the new seal on. And you just take your filter, I didn't show you this, so I'm going to do it again, but you take your filter and just pop it inside the cover, just so it aligns correctly in there. Alright. And you just take your cap, stick it back on there. And put the screws back in. So you want to put these things in like a crisscross pattern, so it's even. You know, get like a gap in there. And there's a torque setting, so you can look in your manual for that, or look it up online. Basically, just remember all this stuff's aluminum, so you don't want to crank anything down that tight. It doesn't have to be that tight. Okay, so in the drain plug, there's a little magnet in there, and you want to check that to make sure there's not any big chunks of metal in there, so that would let you know that there's a problem inside. Mine had a little bit, but nothing major, just a little bit of fuzz in there. And then you get a new crush washer. You always want to use a new one unless you can't get one, but you can usually get one in the kits to keep you from getting a leak. And there's a crush washer for each bolt, each nut, what do you want to call it, bolt, drain plug. The only thing worse than doing this is trying to film it, because it makes it way harder. GoPro, stop recording. Okay, so I'm not going to show you how to put the stuff back in, because it's just a reverse of what we've already done. So same thing, don't over torque it. You don't want to strip it out, it's aluminum. And then I'll show you how I put the oil in, much easier than trying to go through the engine bay. Okay, so I drop it right through the bed, and it's important to do this when your car is clean, because you know, when you're trying to clean out the oil in the bottom, you don't want a bunch of dirt in there, because then you're sweeping that around, and then you want your drain plug opening, you want it to be free of dirt so it's not going to fall in there when you're pulling your plug out of there. I got the kit, so it comes with 4 quarts. It takes 3.7 quarts. I use a 40 weight oil. I live in the desert. I don't have to worry about it being cold, so it's not going to freeze. So that's why I run 40 weight. Plus, that's what they gave me. I had a hard time getting oil. Took me a little bit, but I did find some. So, like I said, it's 3.7 quarts. Way easier to pour it through the top like this. Alright, well, I'll come back when this is done. Okay, so that was 3 quarts. It takes 3.7 quarts. So I'm going to put not quite half of this in here. So I'll be just under 3.5 quarts. And then I'm going to start it and let it run for a little bit. Fill up the oil filters and all that good stuff. And then I'll check it, because you don't want to overfill it, because that causes too much pressure and you might have issues with that. So alright, so you just run it for a little bit, get the pressure up, and then let it settle for a second, and then check your levels. Okay, so that's about it. Yeah, go around and make sure you don't have any leaks. Make sure you tighten everything down. Clean everything up. You're going to definitely want to hose it off. Use some simple green or something, because there's oil everywhere down there. And it took me a little bit longer because I was filming it, but it usually takes me about 15-20 minutes to do that. It's pretty easy, just a little messy. Saves you anywhere from $400 to $600 depending on where you take it. But just make sure if you do it yourself, you know, document your make sure you keep your receipts for your oil and stuff, so that way if you have an issue down the road, you can prove that you were doing your services. So that's about it, man. Thanks for watching, and we'll catch you guys soon with some new videos. Thanks.